Hello, Jamie from Inky&Scrappy sharing with you today and adding a vibration shaker onto a card. Of course, I will go through all of the stamp sets that I used for this one. It may have been a stack. I will also tell you who had originally had the idea, and so I totally typed it from her, but I added that vibration shaker. So I'm using the claw from Clawsome, the little bears in their raincoats from Barely Rainy Day, and then of course that add-on. The Scooting By set, I just pulled out the helmet from. A Bug Deal, I used the clumps of dirt. From Hey There, Hayrides, I used the tractor, and then I'm going to modify the trailer. And then I used the tub from Robotub Tub, the bear with the glasses from Car Critters Vacation add-on, I think, the wheelbarrow from Veggie Happy. There's a couple of different wheelbarrow sets in Lawn Fawn, so you don't necessarily need that one. Some of the stop signs from the Village set, that might have been the Heroes one, and then of course the sign from the Kangarific set as well. Oh, that was a lot of sets. I'm also going to use the cloud, I think it's like the cloud borders or the cloud outline set, the roadway set there, and then which other one did I use? Oh yeah, so I kind of cut it out from some cardstock. I cut it multiple times, all right? And then I did use the reverse I don't know how to say this. Okay, I used the cutout for a stencil and then hand cut out the background. I hope that makes sense. There are all the markers that I used to color my images. I didn't use a whole lot. I kept it fairly simple color-wise because there was a lot of images. Now, when I did my stenciling on this one, I may have cut it out backwards, so I had to do some more, just adding some more color to it. So for this one, I cut this one out multiple times from thick cardstock to build my well. I'm just going to color that top one brown and put that on top of my piece of acetate there, and then I will continue on with building my shaker well. So this card is heavily inspired by Catherine Cohen. I think that's how you say it. If I butchered it, I am so sorry. From Crafty Cat. She had it on I think I first saw it on the Lawn Fawn Addicts Facebook page, and I thought it was cute, kind of stored it in my memory. And so when my nephew had his construction theme birthday party that I did favors for, I will try to get some pictures. I only got like one picture of the stuff, so if I can pull that off of my phone and get it on here, I will put that at the end, so some of the decor or decorations for like food line stuff is on there. I will throw that at the end for you. But anyway, so I had found that one, searched it down and found it, and so I kind of could see what she used for sets, and it definitely helped inspire me to create this card today. And of course, I learned a new trick, so adding a vibration. So of course I had to, up my game just a little bit. So I had to share that one with you. So I'm adding some seed beads in here to help give it some noise, because the first one I did, which is on my other YouTube channel, Salty Card Creations, was a little bit on the naughtier side, but it didn't have the noise to it, and I was kind of sad. So, I mean, it did have the noise, but it didn't have as much. This was just way funner to add that vibration onto a shaker, because it just adds, makes that shaker shake without actually having to shake the card, and it adds a level of noise that's just so good. So I got my shaker done, and then I'm going to set that off to the side to dry and put the rest of my pieces together here. So I'm just going to add in my stripes onto the side. You could definitely add these in white instead of yellow on the side, but I did yellow just to kind of keep it with the rest of my, I guess, color scheme. I probably should have done it white, but whatever. It is what it is. Maybe it's a split highway, and that's why it's yellow. I don't know. It should be white, technically, I guess. So, adding that one on here, and then I will start with some ink blending. So, I kept this part in to show you that sometimes it happens. So, in my head, I was thinking horizontally. When I put the paper on my thing. I had set it vertically. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is not going to be nearly enough space for all of my images. So I just set that one off to the side, grabbed a new sheet because my clouds were gorgeous on it, and then did a new background. I did already use the other one. I used it, I think it's posted on Instagram. I did not do a video with it. But yeah, I already used the other background. So it's not like it went to waste. But so don't be afraid to abandon ship and, you know, restart, because obviously it was not going to go the way I was thinking it was going to go. So I'm just pulling in some masking paper here. I definitely used that piece that I screwed up on as kind of scratch paper mask. Nobody knows. It ended up going on a card front, and you can't see the back, so it's all good. So I'm just inking the outside of this one because I know that the road's going to go in the middle there, so I'm not worried about that part having any, I don't know, I wasn't, you know, less time spent on inking areas that are going to get covered up. Yeah, but I just wanted to add a little bit of texture to the background with, that's why I did the hills. It just kind of gives it a little bit, kind of looks like a road construction area with the mounds of dirt and such. So all of my images I ran through my brother's scan and cut. I cut them on the line, I guess. So it's not perfect. I'm not saying that it's perfect. It's definitely not always the greatest. I do stand right by it to make sure that it's going to cut out and not like mess up. If it starts getting way off, then I abandon ship. But I decided I didn't want that white outline just because there were so many images and I was going to layer so many things that it was just easier to just cut it on the line than me cutting out everything individually. So here's where I'm going to modify that tub just a little bit and put it on the trailer. So I just kind of put little lines there because I didn't want the Brother Scan and Cut to cut things off of some because they were really close, where it's just easier for me to, you know, make a couple of snips with the scissors and then continue on my day. So I did spend some time looking through all of my sets to kind of find the ones that I needed that had the little words that were going to fit on the signs. So I don't think I brought any new ones in. Village Heroes was the other one that I used. I can't remember if it was just the Village one shops, but okay, Village Heroes. Anyways, back to this one. So I just kind of pulled some of those little text out of there to kind of add to the signs. And then I was trying to decide how to do the wagon. I'm going to set that one off to the side a little bit, kind of figuring out layout on my pieces and adding hats to my little bears that needed hats. And then, of course, figuring out how I'm adding in my function. So I used the claw as kind of like a bulldozer add-on for my tractor. By covering up that top part, it, you know, definitely kind of just looks like it's a bulldozer. You could, you know, I wouldn't have had to do it that way, but this way it gave me a little bit more wiggle room, and it kind of added a fun little feature to making that tractor into something a little bit different. Was kind of fun as well. So I'm going to pop that one up on some foam squares already, knowing that way that my add-on there is going to fit behind that, and I don't have to worry about popping it up, or I don't know, not popping it up, but I don't have to worry about it so much. So, and then I'm going to cut off some of the posts for my signs, just because I knew that my placement on these was going to be a little bit more than, yeah, I had a lot of stuff to fit onto an A2 card front. 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 sometimes just isn't big enough. I'm not going to lie. So I am going to add in my road. I didn't make sure that it was flush on top because it was going to get covered up for the most part anyways. It just kind of helped me with my placement of my tractor. So I made sure that I covered up that horizon line there where the dirt meets the road. No, where the road meets the sky. And then I'm going to add in my little shovels and stuff onto my critters and kind of figure out my scene as a whole here. using those reverse tweezers really helps when you're kind of placing some of those littler things that just, yeah, I got, you know, big pork chop fingers sometimes, and that definitely helps. So for my wagon here, I'm just going to add, you know, I'm trying to decide how to do it. And so, yeah, see, pork chop fingers that can't hold on to anything. So I'm going to set my base down first, and then I'm going to add in my dirt, because I wanted to make sure that it was full of dirt and all of the things. I had thought about making it a dump style trailer, I guess. And so I think it was just where it was placed on the card, it wasn't going to work as the dump style trailer, because I thought it'd be fun, but then I'd have had to move it over a little bit more to make it a dump style and have some of the dirt coming out. Anyways, I had so many ideas, and then you have to, you know, I have to whittle them down to what's going to fit on my card front and work. I might have to do another construction card, because this one was kind of fun. So on to that vibration building circuit. So these are vibrating buttons. I think they're used in like cell phones and those types of things. Anything that has a, you know, a little vibration to it. I think maybe like game remotes, whatever. So you can find them on Amazon. I will list and link them down below if you are interested. These ones came with some adhesive on one side. I will tell you this, you want that adhesive facing the object you are going to actually adhere it to and not the card base. So my first one, I adhered it to the card base because I thought, oh sweet, it doesn't vibrate as well if it's on the card base. So I'm just making a little hole where I kind of want it placed on my card front here, not actually adhering it to my object yet. You definitely could. I just chose not to at this point because I think it's easier to hold on to it and make sure that when it's finally placed, I can make sure that my object that's moving or vibrating is going to be exactly where I want it. So the other thing is you're going to need some fabric style. I used fabric style conductive tape. I will also list that below. I like it a whole lot better than the copper tape. I have a lot better luck with it, at least in the ones that I have built since I got it. So I will list and link that down below too. Both of these aren't very expensive. I think for both of them, I maybe spent $11 or $12 on Amazon, and I have enough to make. The tape will last me a long, long time because you use very little. And I think the buttons, I think there was like 15 of them or something, 12 maybe, I don't know. They were less than 50 cents a piece, or around 50 to 60 cents a piece, so it wasn't too horrible bad. So I drew out my circuit line, so it's very small, it's just in that little corner, and then I'm making a switch. So I'm just using a piece of scrap cardstock. I cut it to about 1 inch by 2-ish inches. I think it's a little over 2, 2 1/4 probably, folding it in half, but leaving like a 1/8 inch gap. I don't know, so it's kind of half, but then you're doing an 1/8 inch on one side of it. So I don't know. That's, yeah. And then of course I'm going to need some foam tape here to help kind of keep that off of my button battery, because my button battery really is, you know, the switch for it. I'm also going to pull in a piece of scratch paper here, or that little piece of gray paper, to kind of help my button from going dead, or my battery button from going dead before it gets to the recipient. Yeah. So I'm just going to take my paper tape here, and I'm going to pull back a little bit. I'm putting this one down on the bottom. So these ones were so easy because I didn't have to worry about positive and negative on my battery. They're not like an LED light. So if you are going to do an LED light, keep in mind that you'll need to pay attention to your positive and negative when you do those. This one didn't need, it didn't matter if it was positive or negative. So that was kind of a nice, I guess, you know, that's why this one was, I think, so easy, because it didn't matter if it was positive or negative. So I'm just going over here, and I'm getting that end. I didn't put it under the bottom part. I'm laying down my tape first, building my circuit, and then this one is just going to go on top. So this is really where the switch is, because I need the top and the bottom one to touch the button to make it, like button battery, to make it work. And then I just go back over with a little tiny piece and place that. So I sandwich that wire between the two conductive fabric tapes, and that's how I close up, you know, make that part of it work. So the real test comes in here when I add my button battery. So I'm also just going to use a piece of washi tape, or, you know, any tape back here, just to hold it in place, because I'm not actually gluing it onto my card front. So that is, you know, to make sure that it works. And I don't have the buzzy sound on here, and the card is already gone, so I can't even pretend you get the buzzy sound in the voiceover. You'll get to hear it later on when we're all done. So of course, because I have a button battery in there, and I want to keep it so it's not touching when I don't want it to touch, right? So you end up going with like 3 layers of foam tape, regular foam tape. You could definitely use, Hefty Doodle has the 3mm foam tape, but right by the battery you might want to come in with, I want to say, like a really thin, an extra 1mm, so about 4mm foam tape all the way around that battery will keep the button or the switch from connecting without you connecting it. So that's kind of what I do there. Now, once I have that done, I can finish doing the rest of my card. So I am going to speed this along here because, yeah, this one took a little bit of time, and even editing it down. I tried to give you the circuit building in only 2 times, you know, so double speed. If you want it in real time, I would be willing to do a real-time tutorial of that building of the circuit, but this one was probably the easiest one I've done circuit building wise, is with that vibrating button. Way easier than adding lights, unless of course you're using, you know, the pair of Blossom Press lights that are already done and put together. So for this one, I'm just bringing in some of those leftover pieces. So that was the inside of that dirt clump there from the cloud. That worked just fine in my wheelbarrow. I'm going to add my signs, letting things hang off the side so it looks like my scene is extended beyond. So here's some super thick foam tape. I think this one is probably about 3mm thick. I pick it up on Amazon. I can also list that one down below. If I forget, please remind me, and I will definitely do that. So once I had that all done, I did end up coming in with another piece of, I think it's just fun foam with some added adhesive on the back. I put that over the whole back thing. So this one is super high. You know, I was sending a whole package, so I wasn't worried about it going through the mail. This one would definitely be a bubble mailer style card. I'm not going to lie. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to pull off my whole background piece here, making sure that it was still working when I got this far. The other thing is to make sure that your batteries are, I don't want to say fresh, but that they have some buzz to them. I ended up going through my batteries, and I might have had to throw some away because they were old and just didn't have the juice in them. So it will make more noise if your battery is juicy. If it is not, it just, you know, doesn't make as good of a vibration. So for my little pull tab, so I have the push here on my little sign, but I'm just bringing in that piece of scratch paper, and I'm just going to write pull, because all they need to do is pull that out when they get it. So they just pull that one out, and then you can press the push here, and then it will vibrate that, you know, but I don't have to worry about the battery going dead, going through the mail, or just sitting there because it's not connecting. I hope that makes sense. So for the sentiment on this one, I brought in Finley's ABCs and die cut those out of some black cardstock, and then kind of laid them out to make sure I had my spacing pretty good. And then I start usually on both sides. So I start with my D and then of course my exclamation point, and then start with those, and then I add my letters from there, because that way I know at least my spacing on the front and the back end are going to be okay, and I can kind of adjust as I go, you know, as I add them. So that, you know, I couldn't figure out, I don't know. I didn't really know what to do for sentiment on this one, but I thought digging 2 meant, you know, because he just turned 2. So digging age 2 was kind of a punny little sentiment. Adding the little dots in there, and of course finding all the little dots. So I leave those usually on my cutting plate for my Sizzix, and that way they're easy to find. So for the inside, of course I need to put an inside sentiment on the inside, right? So I'm bringing in some of the other stamp sets. I'm going to have to, you know, play around again. So I'm going to bring in the happy birthday here, and then I'm bringing in that I really dig you, because, you know, it goes with that digging 2 on the front. And then I'm going to bring in the clump of dirt from the Veggie Happy set. No, it's not from the Veggie Happy set. From a Bug Deal set, and then I think the shovel comes from the Veggie Happy set. So I will line those up where I want them. Yes, I use my fingers as guides on this one to kind of eyeball it, because I don't like to measure. That's who I am. And then I will already add in that clump of dirt. So I kind of wanted to do the clump of dirt with the shovel, right? So I'm going to stamp my actual sentiment on here first. And this way I can kind of figure out my placement on this one. And so I decided I liked it over on the one side as opposed to the other. But I probably could have done it on both sides, or done a little traffic sign in there. Would have been kind of cute too. There were so many options. So I'm going to add my clump of dirt. I think I ended up bringing in that vintage sepia. And then I'm just going to do a quick mask on this one. So I just brought in some washi, and I just kind of pushed it on top to kind of give me a cut line. And this wasn't perfect, but it didn't need to be. I just need it to be so I won't get that shovel into, you know. So the tip of the shovel looks like it's in. And then I just added a teeny tiny bit of color onto that handle. And then there completes my card. It was so much fun to, well, okay, it doesn't complete my card. That was the vast majority of the card. But, you know, yeah. And then I was like, I didn't do the eyes. I needed to do, yeah, see, you know, I decided, I got everything laid out, ready for pictures, and then I was like, yeah, no, I need to play a little bit. So I brought in a black jelly glaze pen and added those to the eyes on the bears, the noses, and then, of course, the shades, because the shades needed to be nice and black and glossy. I also brought in the Stardust Stickles pen just to add some glitter and shine, kind of like the reflective tape that you would see on road construction gear. And once I was done with that, I had to bring in some glossy accents because, you know, the tractor has glass on it. So I brought in some glossy accents to add to my window or my cab on my tractor. My pen was dry enough when I did over the eyes. I was kind of worried it was gonna, I don't know, get kind of funky, but it worked. It was fine. And then, of course, I haven't colored in the wheels well, so I did bring in some a silver glitter pen to kind of add some more highlights onto the wheel rims, and then, of course, that exhaust on the tractor, or shall I say bulldozer. Isn't it fun? So there's my completed card. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Any questions, pop them down below. If you want to see that one in real time, like the building of the circuit, let me know and I can get that one together for you. Here are those construction-themed birthday party favors and signage. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Keep getting inky. Bye.